There's a silent enemy that blocks more spiritual awakenings than fear, failure, or even pain. It's not the obstacles in your path, not the setbacks life throws at you. The real danger is stupidity, stupid thinking, stupid patterns, stupid distractions. And if you're not careful, it can strangle your higher consciousness before it even has the chance to rise. When people talk about spiritual awakening, they often imagine some grand moment of light and clarity. But the truth is, awakening isn't destroyed by darkness, it's destroyed by noise. Noise that pulls your attention, poisons your focus, and tricks you into fighting battles that never needed to be fought. That noise comes from stupid minds. They don't always look stupid. Sometimes they look logical, practical, even caring. But behind the mask, they're pulling you away from growth, away from clarity, away from the deeper truth you already feel in your soul. Think about this. How many times have you felt a powerful moment of insight, an inner knowing, a spark of awareness, only to have someone immediately dismiss it? That's unrealistic. That's silly. Who do you think you are? In that instant, the clarity you felt begins to shrink, not because it was wrong, but because stupidity is loud and confidence is quiet. And if you let that noise dominate your mind, your spiritual growth dies right there. Stupidity has one favorite trick. It convinces you to waste your energy. It lures you into endless debates, arguments, and fights that lead nowhere. You think you're defending your truth, but really, you're feeding ignorance with attention. And the more attention you give it, the stronger it gets. That's how stupid minds ruin growth, not by winning, but by distracting. They don't need to stop you. They just need to keep you busy. Picture yourself climbing a mountain. Every step forward takes energy, focus, and courage. But around you are people who don't climb. Instead, they throw rocks. Not real rocks, but words. You'll never make it. It's too hard, Wiz. Why bother? If you stop to argue with them, you lose momentum. If you stop to prove them wrong, you lose time. And eventually you get so caught up in the fight that you forget why you started climbing. That's the tragedy. Most people don't fail because they couldn't reach the peak. They fail because they never made it past the noise at the bottom. And let's be clear, stupid minds aren't always outside of you. They live inside you too. That inner voice that says, stay safe, don't change, people will laugh. That voice isn't wisdom. It's fear disguised as logic. It's the stupid part of your own mind trying to keep you small. And unless you learn to separate yourself from it, you'll keep sabotaging your own growth. The stupid mind is addicted to drama. It loves gossip, arguments, and outrage. It thrives in chaos, and the more you feed it, the more it spreads. Have you ever left a conversation feeling drained, heavy, or confused? That's the cost of exposing your higher consciousness to stupidity. It doesn't just waste your time. It steals your energy. It pulls you down into vibrations where awakening cannot survive. Here's the paradox. The stupid mind thinks it's smart. It builds elaborate arguments. It collects shallow facts. It insists it knows better. And because it speaks with such confidence, you start to doubt yourself. That's how powerful ignorance can be. Not because it's right, but because it's loud. And the moment you give in, your spiritual growth stalls. But there's something deeper here. Every time stupidity attacks you, it's actually showing you a hidden truth. The resistance you face is proof you're growing. People don't resist what doesn't threaten them. They resist because your awakening makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to confront their own limitations. That's why chosen ones often feel surrounded by critics and doubters. It's not because they're wrong. It's because their growth exposes the stagnation of others. Imagine being a lighthouse on a stormy night. The storm rages, the waves crash, the ships shout. But the lighthouse doesn't argue with the storm. It doesn't try to explain itself. It just shines. And in shining, it does its job. That's the secret to protecting your spiritual growth. You don't need to fight stupidity. You don't need to explain your awakening to minds that cannot understand it. You only need to keep shining, and those ready for light will find you. But here's the hardest part. Sometimes the stupid minds are the people closest to you. Friends, family, co-workers, people you care about. And when they mock or dismiss your growth, it cuts deeper. You want them to see. You want them to understand. You want them to celebrate with you. But that's the trap. The moment you need their approval, you give them power. And if they withhold it, your growth collapses. True awakening requires learning to stand even when no one claps. It's about rising even when everyone else stays sitting. There's a story of a traveler who set out to find hidden treasure. Along the way, the villagers laughed at him. There is no treasure, they said. Only fools chase shadows. Some tried to stop him, some mocked him, some offered him comfortable distractions, and many times he thought about quitting. But he kept walking. Years later he returned, not with treasure but with wisdom, and suddenly the same villagers who mocked him wanted to follow. The moral? Growth always looks stupid until it succeeds, and by then those who laughed are left behind. Spiritual awakening isn't about convincing others to join you. It's about walking the path even when you walk alone. Stupid minds will always try to drag you down because misery loves company. But higher consciousness doesn't need company, it needs courage. It needs silence. It needs focus. The real question is this: where are you putting your energy? Into fighting stupidity or into fueling your own growth? Because you can't do both. Every argument drains your clarity. Every debate steals your vibration. And every time you lower yourself to explain your awakening to people committed to misunderstanding, you step back down the ladder you worked so hard to climb. So what's the solution? Detachment. Not coldness, not arrogance, but mastery of focus. Choosing where your attention goes. Refusing to waste energy on what does not serve your awakening. Learning to let stupidity talk while you move forward in silence. That's real power. That's higher consciousness. Here's something funny. Sometimes stupidity is so extreme it actually becomes a gift. Because when you see someone argue nonsense with such passion, it reminds you how precious your clarity is. It makes you grateful for your awareness. It shows you exactly what you never want to become. That's the paradox. Stupidity can ruin your growth if you fight it, but it can strengthen your growth if you observe it without reaction. Every chosen one eventually learns this truth. Silence is the ultimate response. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You realize you don't need to win arguments. You don't need to change stubborn minds. You don't need to lower your vibration. You only need to rise. And when you rise, the noise fades. But make no mistake, the higher you go, the louder the stupid minds will get. Growth threatens comfort. Awakening threatens ignorance. And so the closer you get to breakthrough, the more resistance you'll face. That's not a sign to quit. That's a sign to push harder. If the voices are getting louder, it means you're getting closer. Your spiritual growth is fragile when you're still seeking validation, but it becomes unshakable when you stop needing approval. That's the shift from lower mind to higher consciousness. The moment you realize you don't need anyone to believe in you, you become unstoppable. So protect your energy like treasure. Protect your clarity like oxygen. Don't waste your fire trying to light wet wood. Focus on building your own flame until it becomes undeniable. That's how you outgrow stupidity. Not by fighting it, but by becoming so powerful it can't touch you. At the end of the day, stupid minds ruin spiritual growth only when you let them. They can't steal your awakening unless you hand it over. They can't silence your inner power unless you believe them. They can't stop your higher consciousness unless you choose distraction over clarity. So the choice is yours. Will you waste your energy on noise, or will you rise above it? Will you argue with storms, or will you become the lighthouse? Will you let stupidity drag you down, or will you use it as proof you're climbing higher? If you choose growth, nothing can stop you. Not noise, not doubt, not ignorance. Because higher consciousness doesn't need validation. It only needs commitment. The moment you stop engaging with stupidity, your awakening accelerates. Your vibration rises. Your inner power becomes unshakable. And if these words connected with you, thank you for staying until the end. It means you're not just hearing this, you're living it. If this truth resonated, like this video and subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Your next breakthrough is already waiting. Don't let stupid minds ruin it. Protect your growth, protect your power, and rise.